The 1960s were all about station wagons until the International Travelall rolled in. Was it the first SUV, a family hauling pioneer, or just a flop? Today, we uncover the story behind this forgotten trailblazer. Was it ahead of its time, or simply misunderstood? Let's find out. The International Harvester Company wasn't your typical car maker. Known for building tractors, trucks, and industrial equipment, they decided to dabble in the passenger vehicle game in the late 50s. It was part truck, part van, and part do-it-all utility vehicle. International Harvester's foray into passenger vehicles was not just experimental, but strategic. They were competing in a niche space dominated by commercial trucks and agricultural equipment. The Travelall was their response to the growing demand for versatile family vehicles post-World War II. The company even pitched it as a vehicle for both work and leisure, perfect for farmers who wanted something rugged enough for the fields, but comfortable enough for Sunday church. Unlike its more polished competitors from Ford, Chevrolet, and Dodge, the Travelall wasn't exactly concerned with looking like a suburban driveway ornament. Instead, it wore its rugged workhorse DNA proudly. Think of it as the automotive equivalent of that one dad who shows up to the barbecue in cargo shorts and sandals, fully equipped to fix the grill, set up the tent, and still somehow carve the turkey. Now, let's talk engines. Could the Travelall's engine lineup hold a secret weapon that modern SUVs owe their power to? The International Travelall didn't mess around when it came to power. Over its production years, it offered several engine options, ranging from inline 6s to V8s. One of the most popular configurations was the 345 cubic inch V8, a beast of an engine that churned out around 197 horsepower and 303 pounds per foot of torque. While those numbers might not seem jaw-dropping by today's standards, let's remember this wasn't a sports car. This was a hauler designed to carry families, camping gear, or, knowing International Harvester's clientele, maybe even a small herd of livestock. That said, the Travelall could still manage a respectable top speed of about 90 miles per hour. But here's where the Travelall stood out. International Harvester was known for its durability, and their engines were practically indestructible. These were the kind of engines that would still start after sitting in a barn for 30 years, though you might find a raccoon nesting in the glove compartment. International Harvester also experimented with diesel engines in some Travelall models, though they were rare. The optional BD264 inline-6 diesel engine offered incredible fuel economy for the time, making it a favorite among customers who needed heavy-duty utility without breaking the bank at the gas station. And the Travelall's engine bay was so spacious that it became a popular candidate for engine swaps. Many owners would install aftermarket V8s to boost performance, especially in later years when the vehicle was used as a tow rig for trailers and boats. The Travelall wasn't just about brute strength. It had some standout features that aimed to win over families too. For starters, it was one of the first vehicles to offer four-wheel drive and a wagon body, making it a pioneer in what we now call the SUV market. The Travelall introduced the industry's first sliding rear side windows, a practical innovation for ventilation during long driving or camping trips. Additionally, the Travelall was offered with a dual gas tank option in later years, allowing for extended range, a game-changer for cross-country travel and remote adventures. The barn-style rear doors could also be ordered as a traditional liftgate, offering buyers flexibility depending on their needs. This thing could handle dirt roads, snowy mountain passes, and muddy farm trails without breaking a sweat. Inside, the Travelall was all about space. It could seat up to 9 people, with enough cargo room left over to haul everything from luggage to lumber. And let's not forget the barn-style rear doors, which made loading and unloading as easy as pie. Sure, it wasn't the plushest interior on the market. There was more vinyl than a 1970s disco, but it was practical and it got the job done. Oh, and air conditioning? That was an option. In the 1960s, that was practically luxury car territory. When the Travelall hit the market, it was priced competitively for its time. The original cost hovered around $3,200 depending on the trim level and options. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $30,000 today, a steal for a vehicle that could do everything short of plowing fields. But here's the kicker. Most people who wanted a family car weren't looking for something built like a tank. Meanwhile, those who needed a tank-like vehicle probably didn't care about seating for 9. It was a weird niche, and the Travelall struggled to find its audience. One reason the Travelall struggled in the market was its limited dealership network. Unlike Ford or Chevrolet, which had sprawling networks, International Harvester dealerships were often located in rural areas, targeting farmers and commercial buyers rather than suburban families. So, what went wrong? Why didn't the Travelall become the family wagon of choice? If the Travelall was so innovative, why did it fail to capture America's heart? Well, for starters, International Harvester didn't have the marketing muscle of Ford or Chevy. The Travelall was a great vehicle, but it lacked the glamour of a Chevrolet Suburban or the familiarity of a Ford Country Squire. Then there was the build quality. Sure, the engines were bulletproof, but the body panels, not so much. Rust was a major issue, especially in regions where salt was used on winter roads. The Travelall's quirks extended to its handling. The suspension was designed for durability, not comfort, meaning that on rough roads it felt more like driving a tractor than a car. While this was ideal for rugged terrains, it didn't endear itself to families used to smoother rides in traditional wagons. It wasn't uncommon to see Travallalls with gaping holes in their fenders by the time they were 10 years old. Another issue was parts availability. Since International Harvester focused primarily on commercial and agricultural products, finding replacement parts for the Travelall could be a headache, especially in areas without nearby dealerships. And let's be honest, it wasn't exactly a looker. While its competitors leaned into the sleek, chrome-laden designs of the era, the Travelall looked more like a refrigerator on wheels. Practical? Yes. Sexy? Not so much. Today, the International Travelall is seen as a collector's item, which can be admired by the devotees who like its rough design and its history. Locating a decent specimen is all but impossible, not least because so few were ever built in the first place, and to that, the deaths from rust. But what legacy did it leave behind? What was so inspirational about it that people couldn't see back then? For those who are fortunate enough to own a Travelall, it's quite simply a proud possession which they're fortunate to own. Many people like to nominate the Travelall as a vehicle concept that was way ahead of its time. The Travelall was the pioneer of many features that are today standard on today's SUVs, such as the Ford Explorer and Chevy Tahoe by the early 1990s. Some fans even take original Travallalls, refinish and restore them, and then add modern conveniences such as Bluetooth, leather seats, and even better shocks to create completely unique luxury off-roaders. It reads durability over style, and it doesn't matter to me if I drive something that looks like a brick. Oh, and if you're interested to know about the existing market worth of a Travelall, the prices depend on the general state of the piece, but for a reconditioned model, you can pay from $20,000 to $50,000. That is some consolation to a wagon that used to have difficulty being rented out. The International Travelall didn't just serve families and farmers, it also made appearances in pop culture. The vehicle was occasionally featured in movies and TV shows as the rugged, no-nonsense ride of choice for adventurers and outdoorsmen. In fact, in recent years, its boxy design and retro charm have made it a favorite in the vintage car restoration community, with some models being converted into overland expedition vehicles. The International Travelall might not have been a commercial success, but it paved the way for the modern SUV. It was one of the first vehicles to prove that a family car could also be a capable off-roader. Without it, who knows if we'd have icons like the Jeep Grand Cherokee or the Ford Explorer today. The International Travelall wasn't perfect, but it had heart. It was a vehicle that dared to be different in an era when conformity was king. Sure, it wasn't as polished as its competitors, but it was tough, practical, and unapologetically utilitarian. In the end, the Travelall wasn't America's unwanted wagon. It was just waiting for the right audience to appreciate it. And now, decades later, it's finally getting the love it deserves. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about the cars that shaped history, sometimes by accident, make sure to share this video with your fellow car enthusiasts. Let's keep the legacy of the Travelall alive, one story at a time.